Now it's time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Snowmageddon is happening here in Michigan.
I don't know about that. I already shoveled the driveway and there was like
no snow yet?
Like an inch.
You see, like, schools are canceling already.
They already canceled Laura. She's already in the shower doing the happy dance.
Making TikToks already?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. We're excited to bring you guys a great show this week. We have the super siblings of BMX joining us this evening. John and Bonnie Hutelin joining us, some legends of the sport. You guys stay tuned. We'll have them on screen here in a minute. You guys know how this works right here. It's going to be a good night, wild stories. They got a lot to share, so we're going to probably break this up into a few episodes with them. And tonight we're going to cover the early days of their BMX racing. You guys can join us each and every week on all of our social media pages out there. So it's all Things BMX. We're on Twitch, Facebook, and over on that YouTube thing. Make sure you guys give us a like and a follow on all of our outlets. It helps us with the reach and that thing called algorithms, right? I haven't met
so they say.
Haven't met the algorithm yet.
Right.
We are coming to you live from the Ethan Clark Studios here in Heartland, Michigan, where it's probably closed because of the snow that's almost on its way here.
Yeah, it's definitely closed.
Yeah, I could see that one. And we're brought to you by the good people over at Motor City Harley-Davidson, who has a awesome promo going on. It's the WTF promo. Willing to finance.
That's pretty clever.
I should have asked Nick if they can finance, like, whore credit.
Excuse me?
Whore credit. Bad credit. Got some trade-ins out back.
I have never heard that reference before.
Stripper credits.
Well, you would know.
Yeah. All right.
Better than I.
No payments until fall on new Harleys if you choose to go that way, or financing on any used Harley. Get over there, see Nick, give him a Google review. Say Nick treated you really good on Google.
Which he will do, whether you review him or not.
No, that's true. Always does. Melissa and I are here at the Getaware News Desk. Got a lot happening here. It's snowing. That's your breaking news.
Because we live in Michigan?
Yeah, well, not a lot going on in the Midwest for BMX right now.
No, that's true.
Got the Gold Cup coming up at Steel Wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah, might be able to finally get them on the show at some point. And our show doesn't happen without the following people, and our partners are Krupp and Carter for the BMX official brand. Make sure you guys check them out. They're out of the Florida state, the other peninsula, where it's not snowing.
That is true.
Yeah, that's good stuff. You guys get over there, check them out. Lots of quality T-shirts. They're doing a lot of stuff for the pros down in and around Florida, so make sure you check them out. You guys stop wearing those skater brands, man. Go over there, check out Krupp and Carter, get yourself a couple T-shirts, buy 2 or 3 of them. You got a couple, don't you?
I do have a few.
Do you wear the white ones?
No.
I can't wear a white T-shirt.
No, you have me nervous about wearing white.
If I put that T-shirt on, it's automatically got a Kool-Aid stain. I don't even have Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I was like, okay. So do you, like, kick Chris under the table? Like, how does he know when it's his turn?
I just stopped talking.
Oh, okay. All right. So we want to shout out onto Wheels BMX. We want you to stop in at the next race, next national that you run into them, and tell them the ATB sent you.
Yeah, that's right. And our good friends over at the Hack Shack, make sure you see homie Mike. He's building all them side hacks for Dirty Fest. He's even going to have some for rent if you get out there. You can rent them from him. But if you want your very own, make sure you hit up homie Mike over there at the Hack Shack. They're straight hacking over there, and get your very own side hack.
Oh, I see how you just stop.
Do you want me to kick you under the table?
Yeah, maybe. We want to call out Wrenchman Wheel Builds. Both Chris and Justin have had wheels done by them. Great. They do a great job. He does a great job. If you get your wheels built now and use the ATB code BRODEAL, the rumor is they give you a free high five.
It's pretty cool. They box it up and send it right to you.
That joke may get old. It may not.
We could find a new one. And also our good friends over at Die Job Apparel, who just threw in some hotel links in the chat for the Steel Wheels Gold Cup. So if you guys are going, check out the chat. They've got some links for some hotels down around there, because that place gets filled up real quick, because it's pretty much like what you got for racing in the Midwest. But make sure you guys check out Die Job Apparel. They bring Melissa's trivia each and every week. If you're looking to represent your brand, if you're looking to elevate your brand, your team, if you got a company, whatever you've got, make sure you check out Giffy over there at Die Job Apparel. They did everything from hats, T-shirts, to foam fingers, to keychains. You name it, he can make it. Look, if you can dream it, Giffy can make it. Contact Die Job Apparel today. Turn your vision into a reality.
Gosh, you're a good commercial.
No, I used AI for that.
Oh, did you? Very, very nice. Go check out Josh and Dave over at DB Sports World. They're also a big supporter of the show. Chances are, if you're looking for something, they got it, or they know who or how or what went to do to get it.
That's right. All the links for our partners and sponsors are located in the chat notes or the show notes. So make sure you guys check them out. Give them a follow, give them a like, and if you guys are shopping for your BMX needs, make sure you guys check them out. Give them an opportunity to earn your business. They help us out to make this show each and every week. So give them an opportunity.
And Danger Snacks is bringing you our guests this week. Danger Snacks is the snack that's the difference between draggin ass and haulin ass. So when ordering from our good buddy Brian over there, use the discount code BRODEAL. I'm seeing a theme for your discount. The show's chat is sponsored by BMX Rocks Photography. We need to take that out. The BMX Rocks Photography chat question for tonight is, what are you looking forward to in the 2025 BMX season?
Racing more.
Yeah?
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, isn't that the point of this season?
No, I didn't get to do a lot. I didn't get to do enough racing last year.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
All right.
I don't know. I think I'm looking forward
what are you
to.
doing?
Yeah.
What are you,
not that you
what
were
are you
going to ask.
I was going to ask, but I wasn't sure. Because sometimes you're like, I'm not a racer.
Well, I think traveling. I think we need to venture out and get to some.
We got those 4 stops on the flat pedal series we're going to go to.
Right, but only one's unfamiliar.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's really not. We've been there.
Well,
we got to go back to Fort Wayne and Warsaw.
That's that kind of stuff. I think we should
more locals.
Make an effort to do not less locals, but more traveling.
Go to more locals that we have to travel to.
Okay.
I'm in. All right, without further ado, let's welcome in our guest this evening. Coming in live. Where you guys at tonight? Where you guys in from? Where are you zooming in from? I didn't ask when we started.
Georgia.
We are
Georgia.
All the way from Georgia. Coming to you right now. We got the Hutelin family, John and Bonnie, and Mom is hanging out with us this evening too. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Thank you.
Well, we'd like to start the show with Chris's question that he asks everybody the first time they're on the show. How did you guys find the sport of BMX racing?
That's you.
So I have to dust off the cobwebs to go back that far, but the best I can remember, I was at school and there was a brochure. So back up just a little bit. We were heavily involved in motorsports. My dad loved racing, and we rode motorcycles up in Delaware before we moved to Florida. Once we got down to Florida, I found a brochure at school one day that talked about a local track. It was BMX 84, which was for those that remember back in that era, was a very popular small track with took 2 laps to get around it. But my dad went out, we watched it one weekend. Next thing, all of a sudden, we started getting bike parts and helmets and jerseys and trying to figure it out.
Very fun. And how much of an influence did Mom have on helping you guys find the sport?
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I just listened to them when they came home.
That's wow. What else are you gonna do?
Love it.
But my mom said that on Saturdays, I guess it was mine and my dad's adventure was to go spend the weekly paycheck at the local bike shop.
Oh, I've heard that. I've heard people talk about those stories.
Didn't have the mail order or show up at the track with the big trailers. That wasn't a thing back then.
Right. And how old were you?
Let's see. I'd been about 12 years old, 12, 13.
Okay.
Around what year was this that you guys found the sport?
76. So
76. Okay.
Probably saw it in 75, and then at Christmas I got a bike. It'll come up in the pictures here in a little bit, but back then it was a black Mossberg, and I got that for Christmas and started riding, and then we started racing. And it's funny the evolution that the first year we went through a lot of bikes, catching up with learning, and the sport was growing so fast back then. And safety gear. Somewhere along the way, we met Scott and started getting involved with FMF and SE, so it evolved from there.
Scott, who, just for those that are don't know.
forgive me, Scott Breithaupt. He was the founder of SE. And if you see all the SE stickers, some of the original ones said Scott. Let's see this one. This one's actually a Scott Enterprise. SE he was a marvel at master at advertising. He came up with some very creative stuff back in the day.
Yeah. Mom's wearing a Charlie Gnarly shirt that he came up with.
Oh, and then there was Charlie Gnarly. He was the team.
Oh, that's cool.
He was the trainer.
Yeah.
And he had 6 fingers on each hand. But the T-shirt was very popular. Everybody wanted the Charlie Gnarly shirt.
Oh, I love that. That's so cute. Charlie Gnarly, huh? Okay. I like it.
What's so you guys found your first local track, goes 2 laps around it to do one race. How long was it before you guys did that you were doing local races? And at that time, what was there above like a local race? Did they have a national series, a regional series, or a state series yet?
So back then East Coast was a little separate. West Coast had their deal going on with ABA and stuff out there. East Coast was it started as the National Motorcycle League, which is George and Mary Esser, and it morphed into the NBL, which was the National Bicycle League. And I don't remember the exact time, but right in that era, there was a little bit of turf wars going on, and some of the Florida tracks got upset with the direction maybe it was going. So they created one called the NPSA, the National Pedal Sports Association, which was kind of mainly a Florida organization. And the two, forgive me, I don't remember what happened. I guess NPSA kind of merged into the NBL and it kind of dissolved after a few years. But it was back then it was crazy because we could race Friday, Saturday, sometimes twice on Sunday. So Friday night we'd show up at a place called South Florida Cartway and there might be 120 motos. Jeez. I mean, we'd be there until 2 a.m. It was very different. The original one, BMX 84, was wild because it was right next to a go-kart track, and it was a small oval. Just had two. I think one was a flat turn and one was a berm. But you come up the starting hill, it was tires lined the track because it was tires left over from the go-kart track. It actually had a water hole they'd filled up with water. You either went through the water hole or jumped it. But and then the track was real. It was not a very big oval, so you did 2 laps.
Okay.
So I started when I was 6.
Okay.
1976, and then the track he's talking about is the poster behind my mom. Let me see. Oh,
yeah. This is the BMX 86 track?
Yeah, BMX 84.
84, sorry.
Yeah. So see all the tires?
Let me go full screen on you guys. There you go.
Oh, yeah. Wow, look at how cute that is.
They're all sand. Yeah, it was all sand.
Well, hold that just a minute, Bonnie. While you're looking at it, the equipment was coming around, but we were very basic. So I think that was an old shirt that I had that she was using, and tape around the legs to keep the jeans out of it. And you can't see in this picture, but she wore garden gloves, and they were taped on so they wouldn't come off as well.
Oh my God, that's adorable.
Yeah, this particular picture, every time she came around that turn, she would fall down. So Don is telling her how to take that turn without falling down.
Well, maybe she just knew it was a great photo op, so.
For the Red Line lovers out there, you can hardly tell in that shirt, but you can see the oval from the old Red Line logo, the one that my dad's wearing.
Wow.
You guys have lots of people joining us this evening. And thank you guys for everyone joining this evening. I got people texting me over here, putting things in the chat over there. So I'm looking around because people are sending questions in already. If you guys got questions, make sure you get them in the chat. Please try not to text me because I'll miss it. Bill's sending tons of great information. Appreciate it. He wanted to share that Sarah was the first person to register him at BMX 84 in March 17th, back in, I think he says 76. So you guys got stories, put them in the chat. We'll share them with the Hutlins here.
Register and Bill, because Mom and you and dad ran the track at BMX 84, or there's other
No, I think
people?
they just assisted.
This is, but
She's
you were
probably up there
scoring. You're
registering.
probably scoring, right? Registration and scoring.
I did registration all the time.
God, it's a family affair.
Well, it amazes me the things that people remember, because I was talking to a friend of mine the other night, and we were talking about the Orange Bowl, which was a big race down there. They had it two different years. And I go, when was that? And he goes, oh, it was, summer of 78. He goes, that's when the Bills and the Dolphins play. And I'm like, how do you remember the team that was playing? So I looked it up.
We looked it up.
Sure enough, that was it. And I was able to get the date off of that. But I was blown away. It's amazing, like Bill, that remembers the date that he had the registration. Bill's got a deep archive stuff too. He's got all of his original licenses and different things that he accumulated over the years.
Yeah. He's actually sending. I can't keep up. Sorry, Bill. He's texting me some like great stories, and I'll share if we can. We'll get him in. He's sharing some personal stories he has with you guys and everybody, like from the track, from the BMX 84 track, South Florida Cartway, and he named off some Hyatt BMX, Boys Town, Homestead, and a bunch of other tracks too that you guys were all racing back in the day. So you started at 6, you were at 12, and here you guys are. You're still racing today, which is awesome. And you guys, it's been a family affair for a while. Where did the racing go, and what did the timeline look like for you guys to move from just racing the locals in and around your guys' area?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because we were trying to figure that out as well, is how we got picked up. Scott Breithoff was in California. We're in Florida. So how, you don't have social media, you don't have Facebook back in the 70s. How did they coordinate to get together? And then us literally within a year, we're riding on SC jerseys. And so I think it was FMF first.
Yeah, so I
started out FMF.
We kind of think what happened is if some of the people out there might be able to help us with some of the dates, but I believe the Orange Bowl. So back then there was some incredible events that happened, like kind of one-offs, and 2 years in a row there was an Orange Bowl Classic, and I believe the first one was an invitational. It was 1976. It was probably in August or September, and a lot of the pros from California came down, and I believe Scott was traveling at that point. I kind of have a feeling that's when my dad met him. And then in 77, I believe it was, he was working for FMF, and we got picked up by them. And shortly thereafter, I think in the summer of probably late 77, we got picked up by SC, where he started SC, and then we transferred over. And if you see the jersey hanging behind me, it's the yellow and blue, the yellow and red. The original FMF colors were the same colors and almost very similar logos. And we all had red pants, and it was very easy. He just made some jerseys. There was even some yellow long sleeve T-shirts that he made that was very, very easy to convert our uniforms. And we peeled all the stickers off our bikes and switched over to SE stickers, and magically our bikes were SEs. And then shortly, then the next step was creating bicycles, and we'll go into the SE bikes here in a minute. But you were kind of asking. We started in Florida. I think a lot of it, as you all know, you're dealing with the snow right now. We have year-round racing, like our state season's going on down in Florida while everybody else is on hiatus. So there was a lot of Cape Coral. There was a ton of tracks all around Florida. So we spent the weekends, you're talking about the family affair, traveling from track to track. And then as time grew and we morphed into SE, we started to do more, the international, or the traveling state to state, doing the War of the Stars and different series that were going on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But like my parents had motorhomes and, everything. And so it was easy. They were just like, before you know it, we're in a motorhome and traveling, around Florida to go to these races. And then my dad was like really good in marketing. So he was all about branding for other people and trying to get money so that we could afford, for all of us to travel and to compete and race and everything. So that was immediately our lifestyle.
Yeah, we were talking today about how we traveled to the races in the very beginning. And in the very beginning, the bikes were fastened onto the trunk of the car.
I think we lost a couple, didn't we?
I remember
going down the road.
I remember a couple of times as we're driving down the road, we see these bicycles going through the weeds.
Oh no.
Hey,
It looks like our bike ride.
But because they were all fastened together, the bikes didn't get broken
Oh, well,
But they-
that's good.
from the car.
Oh my goodness.
Of course, it wasn't long until we got a motor home. And that was really fun because when we stayed in campgrounds, there were other kids that were BMXers. So the kids had automatic friends. And we tried to combine our travels with visiting friends and relatives. So that was really a nice era for a family affair.
Back then the budget was always tight, and my dad was never one to stay in hotel rooms, so it was always whose house can we crash at, whose couch. And I try to remember, what did we decide that the gentleman that lived in Cape Coral, was it
Bob Coker.
Bob Coker, I believe was his name. There's a picture that'll come around. I'll try to point out when it does, but there's a picture of a front yard, and there's all kinds of vans. There's like 4 motorhomes in it, but that was his house, and he was the travel director for the track over there. So, when we hit there for the weekend, that's where we parked, and everybody, overnighted to go to the track the next day.
Bonnie, when you started racing, did they have a girls class?
No, I had to race the boys.
Okay. How long was it before girls class got even established?
No, it's funny because there's a picture of like Marcy Sinkowicz and I in one of those photos, and that was probably 76 or 77. And they would come over from Cape Coral or Fort Myers area, which is probably 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
So they were back then even driving 2 hours just to come over and race with us.
Wow.
So, but I don't remember when the girls' classes started. I want to say maybe when I was 8 or 9.
Okay.
Started off as powder puffs.
Yeah, that's right. We were powder puffs.
Of course,
I don't mind being called powder puff. Some girls don't like it.
Of course, she raced the boys, and sometimes she beat them, and that was not a very good picture.
No, they didn't like it if I beat them. So. Probably up until I was about 13 is when I could still beat the boys. And then, once they hit puberty, then I couldn't compete with them anymore to beat them. But that was the 80s era. So definitely that'll be the next round of photos when we have another meeting with you guys.
So you had said, John, like they're and Bonnie both, like the pros are kind of out, there's California and stuff like that coming over or coming down to Florida, and you made a point like there's no social media, there was no internet then. So when you were talking to Scott, and Scott was like putting a team together, was it just phone calls? Was it letters? Like, how did you guys communicate with a sponsor in the early days of BMX?
It's the picture will come around here in a little bit. We had these brown, so when a lot of it was correspondence through mail, and we had put together some sponsorship packages, and it was actually we took, like when we were with SE, we took a brown folder and put an SE logo on it, and we put each had biographies. We had one of the years we had the where we were going that year, and we put together a whole package. And it was funny because I was only like 13, 14, 15 at the time. And I had contacted a couple of the sponsors like Terry Cable and others that sponsored us at the time. And I'd send them a package. They might call me and ask me a few questions, and next thing all of a sudden products start showing up. And then the people would meet me and they're like, "You're awful young." And it's like, it was just, because we didn't talk, there wasn't the social media. I mean, obviously you probably realized from the bios how young we were, but it was a lot more correspondence via mail than anything else, and phone calls were expensive, so there wasn't big long phone calls either.
Good point. I didn't even think about that. Like, you had long distance.
There's some of the folders. Like my mom has like saved our whole childhood. Like we couldn't find a lot of the stuff from the early 70s, but like this place is like a museum. There's so many cool things. And so when we were talking about setting up, I was like, oh, let's go get this and let's go get that, you know? And we didn't know how much y'all would want to see or not see. You can tell these are like typed on a,
Oh yeah.
you know, and they just had both of our
Well,
biographies.
This
and
one's interesting too, because this is, notice the SE logo, and then of course the address on the bottom is Team Florida and our address versus Scott's.
So you guys were in while you're showing this. Well, feel free to answer these or toss in your own stuff. But so you guys were doing your kind of getting your own sponsors, even though you were on SE. You were going out and kind of doing like local promoting of yourself on the SE team, getting your own sponsors, right?
Well, it's kind of trifold if you think of it that way. So one of the things that Scott was really big about was back then, you know, again, there wasn't social media.
Yeah.
It was the bike shops. There wasn't online shops where you could order parts. So whenever we went anywhere, like on a weekend race somewhere, a lot of it was to try to catch a bike shop along the way. And we'd stop in and say hello. And remember, SC was brand new then, so nobody had seen the product. So we'd pull our bikes off and go in. We'd show the dealer the bikes. We had Scott had given us business cards and different things we could leave with the dealer. And then the dealer the next week would call Scott and say, hey, man, that product was great. I want to order some.
Dude,
And,
he had you guys.
Wow,
He
you
had
a
you guys.
door-to-door salesman.
Yeah, he had you guys as sales.
You got it. And then the co-sponsors we had were the same thing. Like a lot, I don't remember getting, we very rarely got paid. Like Terry Cable, for example, for just sent brake cables.
Mm-hmm.
And I was good at working on bikes. So a lot of times somebody would say, oh, my brakes don't work. I'm like, let me fix that. Oh, your brake cable's bad. Let me put a Terry Cable on it. And next thing you got the pros running a Terry Cable. So it was whatever we could do.
Mm-hmm.
79, we did a tour, and there it is. That's a picture of the van right there. So my dad bought a van that year, and we took a tour all the way. Seth was old enough. He just graduated high school, so he was driving. I was like 14, 15 at the time. My parents flew into Chicago and met us, and we completed the loop. But we had, every weekend was a race. We worked our way all the way to California and all the way back. And along the way, we didn't have, so Scott sent us a bunch of T-shirts and hats and back then sticker packs were really big. So we had a big box in the van that all the supplies got stored in. And at the races, we would set up and sell. So we'd show up at a race and, T-shirts were like $10, a hat was $5. Well, that money that we got was to pay for gas and food the next week. So a lot of it, we would show up somewhere and somebody's like, where are you staying this week? And we're like, we don't know. We'll come to our house. So I don't ever remember staying in a hotel. It was always friends or family or somebody we met along the way to find a place to stay,
Wow. Guys are making gas money to get to the next race.
Bonnie wasn't able to travel with us. She's too young, but
I got to fly to the races with my mom and dad.
On that trip, I think my dad met us my mom, dad, and Bonnie flew into Chicago and met us, and then we went out we did Pikes Peak, we did Salt Lake City, the Salt Flats, and then we stopped. One of our sponsors was Circus, so we stopped in Vegas and saw them, and of course we
still got the Pink Panther too behind John.
Yeah, Circus was a lot of fun because every hour on the hour there was a trapeze show, and it was a safe place. So we could always find Bonnie, who was 9 years old, sitting on the steps waiting for the next trapeze show.
So you guys had Circus, the casino, as a sponsor.
Yes,
so when that picture of the van comes around, on the back of it, to get on the van, you had to offer some money.
Oh wow,
that's what. And was Circus? Was that a deal that Scott had put together?
No, that was my dad. My dad had some connections on that. Like one of them we had was Delco Radio, and I don't know I think they gave us a radio for the van and also provided some gas money. But Circus provided us a place to stay. They gave us some clothing, and they probably pitched in a couple $100 for gas. But to get a logo, my dad took the van and had it all painted up with our names on it, and on the back was all the logos of it sponsored. Like my grandparents used to live here in Ringgold, and they had a tomato farm, so I think they provided $50, and there was a picture of a tomato on the back with their name on it. So it was whatever we could do to raise the cash to pay for gas to get to the next race.
So I can go here. I'll put this
Oh, I can see the Circus
there.
logo on there.
So like there's the one
Davis
that the one that I
Rent-A-Cars,
thought was
yeah.
hysterical. If you
Yeah.
look back at it now, is there was a automotive company in Miami called PCP. So we had a good.
Whoops.
It's like today you go, what is PCP? That doesn't sound like an automotive company.
Nope. It probably would not.
If it's rental car, I mean, my dad was in the car business, so he had a lot of connections that way. So it was back then people were pretty interested in what we had to do, and they liked the what we were doing, and like AC Delco, I think their factory's up in Indiana somewhere. We stopped and met the had a photo session with them. We took our bikes out and we hung out with them for a couple hours and got to tour the factory when we went by. So there was a lot of neat promotional stuff that went with it.
And that there's a photo in there, the group that I sent you. That same trip is when we went to California, which is the pictures you're seeing now. When we went, yeah, there's the AC Delco or DC, whatever.
Yep, there's that.
Yeah, that's the Delco Electronics.
Yeah.
So not only did your
Nice.
dad line up these sponsors, you guys made it a point to get to the sponsors too, so they could meet you guys, right?
Well, the sponsors need some feel good stuff too, right? So you can't.
Sure.
They send you some money and you go do a job, but they loved us to stop by and visit them, and they loved to see what we were doing or see where their money's being spent. So it was I'm trying to think of the right words for you. You have to. The sponsors have to have some ownership of it too, right?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The picture that's up now, that's the front of Scott's house. We're all standing there.
Scott Bright House.
Long Beach.
Yeah, Long Beach.
Wow. It's a long ways away.
And this is the trip we were talking that Bonnie and Mom and Dad flew into, and then you guys went and made the trip.
Well, let's say Seth. We stopped at, I'm trying to remember which track it was. He fell. I don't remember.
So Seth Busari was another Florida
so-
rider.
Indianapolis, I think.
I think it was Indianapolis. He fell and jammed his thumb real bad, and he broke the bone or ligaments or something in his thumb. So somehow we found a doctor. It was like in is it Minnesota, Mom?
Yeah, by the time Don and I got there, his thumb was like a big golf ball. And I think we were going to Minnesota for a race. And Don had a friend, my husband Don had a friend there. And he knew the right doctors for him to go to.
Well, it was interesting because the problem was when he fell, the thumb caught on the handlebar as he went over the bar as he fell. Well, it's the same thing that skiers get from ski poles. So being up in Minnesota, it was a common thing that was easy that they knew how to fix. So the funny part is we took his handlebars with him to the hospital. So when they did the surgery, they molded the cast so he could still hang on to the handlebars for the next week.
Not the first time I've
No,
heard
I
that.
was gonna say I think I've seen that done before.
Yeah.
I remember right, it was interesting too because it was pinned and the like with the wire, and there was buttons on either side. So when it came off, all they had to do was she just cut the wire and pulled it instead of going back in for surgery again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Had to keep
That's
falling. When the one that's up now, Super Jump, was a company out of, I think it was in Pompano, but they made these little metal jumps that kids could buy that you could set up in the in the parking lot or on the sidewalk to jump, and they helped us out quite a bit as well.
And here I'll go the
instead of your plywood and rocks or whatever you put under that railroad
Bricks.
ties. Bricks.
yeah.
Remember this was very back. The early days was a lot of growth, and people hadn't seen the sport, so we did a lot of back then. The city we lived in, they had these things called bicycle rodeos, and the police would put them on, and they would inspect your bike to make sure it's safe. They'd put your little sticker on it, and they would register it so if it got stolen. And then they would have some contests, like they'd have chalk lines, and who could go. You were timed, and you had to go really slow. But if you put your foot down, you lost, and if you go outside the lines. And then they might have cones that you got to drive around, but it was all just to get kids out and active on their bikes.
That's
And
great.
we'd show up and help with those a lot. And bike shops would have clinics. Sometimes you'd just meet at the shop, and kids would ask about bikes and what does it look like, and you let them ride them. There was a lot going on.
I think all the clinics were free, so there was even like a tour where SE went on that they did free clinics and they worked it out with the bike shops. So that's how we could get around too and promote the product as well.
Picture on the screen right now. Bonnie, you're wearing an open face helmet, and you got the
Jaffa.
yeah. So this was
She has gloves that fit her now. She doesn't have the garden gloves.
Yeah,
so this was this was the protection back in the day. Even up to like this was the wear until what, like the 90s, right? Like they were still open face with the Jaffas.
When Bonnie first started racing, there was not racing gear in her size. So we had a lot of baggy shirts, gloves taped on with duct tape, and the bottom of her jeans was duct taped so that it didn't get caught in her chain.
probably the boots fit me, right? I had my own boots.
Yeah, it's funny now. A lot of the pictures that we're wearing like construction type boots, and it's like, now everybody's wearing clips or real thin soled shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Or
You had
Vans.
those,
Vans
high-top-
wasn't around then.
Yeah, no.
you had those high top shoes with lace anklets, lace tops,
Wow.
and then duct tape above it.
That's my mom's parents that are up right now.
Yeah,
from
that's my
that.
grandmother and grandfather standing with the picture of their tomato on the back of the van.
Oh.
It's where we live now. So I live in their old home place that my mom was raised in.
Oh, that's cool.
You can see like on the passenger side, there's a tomato. It looks like a
I think it's in between
Yeah.
them, right? Right above the taillight.
yeah, it looks like a tail light, a round tail light, but it's
Yep.
a tomato.
That's very cool. All these memories, my goodness.
You guys and
Yeah.
you guys are you're still racing today, and you guys, do both of you guys pop down and do the Florida series?
I try to.
Right.
Yeah, I'll pop in when I can. This
Okay.
last time we had snow here, so I couldn't get out to go to Okeechobee to race the Florida series, but I typically will race the Florida series instead of the Georgia.
Okay. Okay. And because I think I met you at, I can't remember if it was the Oldsmar National or if it was the Oldsmar State race, but I know that, like Fel says, you guys you've raced the series before, because it's kind of the thing. A lot of people come from out of state and race it.
Yeah, because they get over 200 motos,
Mhm.
Right.
like a
Well,
national.
Over Christmas, I had too much fun, so I thought I was out of shape, so I didn't run the Okeechobee state race we had this year. So I volunteered and drove the golf cart doing transportation back and forth to the parking lot.
Mhm.
And I was shocked at the number of people that I met from Washington State, Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
Michigan. It's like, we think of our state series as just Florida, but everybody loves warm weather and good racing and a great track.
And
Uh-huh.
with national back to back, so
Yeah.
everybody
Yep.
was coming down to definitely hit some races. But I still do the national circuit, but John just usually sticks to the Florida State Series.
I know the
Like
year the year I was down there, there's a guy like 2 age classes up from me, an expert. He flies in from California for him, so like for the Florida series, and that's pretty impressive. 'Cause we all ended up hanging out at one of the hotels afterwards, and we were all talking about where we're from. He's like, "Yeah, I fly in from California." I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, wow.
But yeah, they're a lot of fun. So if you know, you know.
To the point, I like the fun races. I got to do Dirty Fest Pride.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm hoping I can do Dirty Fest this year. And there's an old school get together we have in Florida, and they get together at I think it's not Daytona. I can't think of the track right offhand. It's St. Augustine. But they have my favorite class is the fat tire bike class. Those bikes are so much fun on a BMX track.
That's cool.
Oh, like the mountain bike size ones, the
Yeah.
current ones. You take those on the BMX track?
26-inch. It's a BMX. It's SE makes one. It's the Fat Ripper, but it's 26-inch wheels, but they're like big balloon
Yeah.
tires.
Oh.
You run like 30 psi, and it's when you come off a jump, you'll get it back. You
Bounce up.
can run over a speed bump, and it doesn't care.
Wow.
So any breaks in racing, or you guys been doing that your whole lives?
I took 27 years off.
Mm.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, I took a good break. Once I was 19, I quit racing, and then I came back to bring my kids back in 2014. I think it was, or 2015, to get my kids in it. And they really didn't know the history of what we had done with SC in Florida and everything with BMX. And so then when people started coming up to him, and my son was wearing that jersey, and they're going, where did you get that jersey? That's my mom's. Well, who's your mom? And they're like, Bonnie Hutelin. Oh my gosh. So it was kind of funny. They were just like, that's your thing. We'll let you do that. But my daughter still goes to races with me.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. And then Zach, his son, got involved in it back in,
I remember the year he was 10, so that would have been, I think, 05. So I got out of BMX for a while, having kids and stuff. And then when Zach got old enough, he wanted to learn about it. So one of the original tracks in Fort Lauderdale was Coral Springs. That was a famous track that we had a lot of fun at. So he had fallen and gotten hurt, so he couldn't run that one. But I got to run the last state race that was there. And trying to think of the year, 2005 maybe. But unfortunately, that track got the city shut it down and took it to make something else there, But it was we ran there for years.
So you didn't really have a long gap, did you? That you took off.
Because
he quit at like in '84.
Yeah.
Right when you graduated high school.
Yeah, as long as I thought. Yeah,
84,
it started with Zach
2005.
going, and I got tired of watching him. I got a cruiser and started riding again.
I hear that story a lot. I can't sit on the sidelines anymore.
It's funny going back to when we first started. They didn't have gates. It was a rubber band start.
There was,
Yeah. Our flat part.
There was
at Dirty Fest and the gate broke. They went back to the rubber band starts.
We've done it.
We've done it. I've seen it done. Yeah,
a few times when the gate breaks, and it's actually, those are the races that you end up hearing everyone talk about, months and years later. Like, man, we did the rubber band start, or we did this or that. Like, and they're fun. They're a lot of fun. Actually, that was in the chat, and if you guys want, we got a lot of stuff packed in there right now. So we'll jump over there real quick to our BMX Rocks photography check-in, because you got a lot of questions stacking up. We want to make sure you guys get to answer some really, really good questions from your friends and people tuning in right now. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And when you get done, I got a question that came in on the direct line.
On the don't text me line?
Don't text me line. Yeah, it was
that
a don't text me
nobody
line.
hears you say 1,000 times. Don't text him. He's not supposed to be reading his phone.
So,
so we want to say hi to lots of people. Beer Budget BMX is tuning in. What's up, peeps? Hump Days with the ATB posse. Tommy Yaley says, ask John about the time behind the barn, which is very ominous sounding.
He said he was gonna. I told him don't forget to include the story about the goat. He thought it was a sheep though.
That's hilarious. Crit Plate tuning in. OD Old School Florida Factory. Gatenine Number Plates. Says, sup people, good to see you. Chris and Justin. Hey, I do not look like Chris. You either don't have your eyes on, or Sean Gifford, Die Job Apparel tuning in, says happy Wednesday, fam. He did put the hotel info in our family chat for any of our friends listening too. Robert Cardoza tuning in over on YouTube. Looks like you have a new co-pilot today. Let's see, Tommy Yaley, I think I said that, says Yo Nelson. And then Nelson, is it Chanity. What is it? Chanity. Okay, I was gonna oversay it. It says hi to John and Bonnie. Mo Collins says Roxanne and I are down for some road trip for locals.
Let's
too.
go. Let's make a road trip to Florida for a couple locals.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Georgia.
You
can visit the Hutelins and
Hi,
Greg.
come on here.
That's still a day of driving.
We've done it.
Yeah, that is true. Hi to Jimmy Graham. He's tuning in. Douglas Swenson. Hi, John from Colorado. Christine Wingness also says hello, Team Hutelin. Rick Hector is tuning in. Let's see. Nelson says in 76 he was dirt bike racing. BMX was not on their radar. Bonnie was a baby. Francisco Vega tuning in says hola to everybody. Let's see. Oh yeah, it was Jimmy Graham that had mentioned the rubber band starts at the Hyatt. Hi to Stony McGee with us. He says, sup, y'all. There's Rick Carter again. Old Fat Guy BMX tuning in over on YouTube.
Hey,
Sup,
welcome
y'all. Oh, Nelson says, thank you, Bonnie and John, for persuading me to go BMX racing again. Bonnie gave me a great discount on a helmet. Me and John rented an RV, and I gave the Hutelin family my GT jersey for support.
Oh, that's right.
That's kind of cool. All right, we're gonna come back to
In the archives.
Yeah, I bet. The Stu Thompson question.
Oh, okay.
Or should I ask it now?
Nah, go ahead, ask it now.
All right. So Rick also put in to ask John about how he tested the original SESTR1 Stu Thompson. This is a mouthful. Quadrangle prototype.
Excellent.
Quad angle.
Good job.
Quad angle. Okay.
Well, so the first bikes that SE came out with, Scott was very creative with his advertising. So the first one was the BD4, and I was trying to. It was BD4 or BD6?
Third.
I think it's BD4, but
There's a bunch of those pictures in here there too.
But anyway, long story short is the BD4 was
3.
or sorry, BD3
DB? Wasn't it
or DB,
DB3?
yeah. So it was Derek Brown was the rider, and that was the little kid's bike. And then he came up with the JU6, which was for Jeff Utterback. Well, right around the time that the bikes were being tested, so when he sent us the bikes to test the first time, they're basically the PK Ripper, what we know as of today. And there was no decals, so we just put SE decals on it. I took the peel-off stickers that you get like in a pack and made my own JU6 stickers for them. And we rode those for a little while. Unfortunately, we didn't get to keep them. I wish I could have. We had to send them back when we were done riding them so they could check them. And that's when Utterback left and went to GJS, which was his father started manufacturing frames, so he went for him. So now Scott was getting ready to produce this bike. What does he do? Well, of course, Perry was riding for him, and that's when they labeled it the PK Ripper. So it's interesting to look back at history and think of, had Jeff have stayed, would there have been a third bike for PK? What would the bikes look like, or where would we be today? But
Sure.
It's interesting how it became the PK Ripper.
Wow. All right. Well, that's
No,
cool.
Hutelin bike.
Yeah, and then it goes on. Then Stu was on the team. Sorry, you asked about the quad angle. So then Stu was on the team, and the next bike that came out was the chromoly one, which was the STR, which was the Stu Thompson, which became the quad angle.
Okay. Well, there you go. A little more history. A few more shout outs. Chris Beer is tuning in. Ken Kellogg, what's up, over on YouTube, says hi, everyone. Oh, I like how you spelled hi, dude. Thunder Midget, again, showing up over on YouTube.
He's on all of them.
Bouncing around. Nick Jones is with us. T.O. Cape Coral. He says hi, everyone. Hi, Bonnie. Wolfie Ascoli, maybe. Hi, John and Bonnie. Kurt Carlock also tuning in. Oh, Chris had clarified JT Racing's Jaffa was standard equipment in the early 90s.
Yeah, that's my first one.
Mike Melvin, the other half of Beer Budget BMX, says, what's happening, peeps? And I know he commented on a nice t-shirt, JT. Which is amazing how much detail people pay attention to. But makes me want to think about my wardrobe a little bit more often.
Some new cameras.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Damon Tucson also tuning in, says, hello, fam. What's up, dude? Haven't talked to you in ages. Scott Sloan, old school, says, hello there, Hutelin family. Martin Kennard tuning in, down Florida natives down there, and says, hello, John and Bonnie. Now we're heading down under. Matt Boshin is also tuning in between work commitments, and lunch must be over. Let's see how else I got. Oh, thank you, Chris. Something about me being way better looking. No way you can confuse the two of us. I don't know. Kim Groner Turner, that says the Turners say hi. Ben Powell, hi everyone. Randy Morris, up guys. Jimmy had also mentioned we used to pick starting gate positions with a deck of cards and pulling ping pong balls from a gallon milk jug, which is kind of a cool idea. Pete Bruno added also clothespins.
Did you guys?
There was a bucket. You'd stick your hand in and pull it out of the bucket.
How'd you
that's
know?
a great
Did you
idea.
write the gate number on the clothespin?
The clothespins were labeled 1 through 8, or the ping pong balls would have numbers on them, and you just reach in, pull it out, and then take your spot, and then they would take the marker back.
All
Poker
right.
chips, whatever they wanted to use.
Random draw.
Mm,
That's a smart way to do
I
it.
like it.
And
Now at the nationals too, that if you have more than 8 in your gate, you get to gate pick now
Yeah.
based on finishes. So they did that at Okeechobee.
oh, okay.
Isn't that-
Seen
Don't the
that's
pros?
coming back.
Don't some of the pros get the
Yeah.
pros?
I think the
finish?
pros do,
Yeah.
but they let the amateurs do that this year.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, rounding out this round of shout outs, we're going to say hi to Dave and Josh over at DB Sports World. They say, "What's up, kids?"
All right. And question coming in off the Don't Text line.
That is forever now going to be known as the Don't Text line.
It should just be the Bill Prince Don't Text line. Yeah, we'll call it that. He wanted to know if did you guys end up on the chartered bus ride to Indy for the Jag World Championship in 79-80?
We ended up driving. We never took Bill put together an awesome deal where he chartered a bus, and whatever the fee was, whatever it cost, the kids all chipped in to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually chartered a Greyhound bus to go from Fort Lauderdale up to Indianapolis for the race. Put all the bikes underneath.
That's actually a brilliant idea. Like pulling that. I mean, the bus has got plenty of room for bikes.
When we talked to Bill, we had to find out. I mean, Bill couldn't have been, but what, 17 or 18 back then? I mean,
Yeah.
WP Racing, I mean, he was putting together some neat stuff and was probably only 16, 17, or 18 at the time.
I know at one time he had mentioned that doing that, and also like he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he would put together like a thing for the Christmas Classic too, and you guys would like get buses and come up to the Christmas Classic in Columbus too. I don't know like the time frame because I know that race was, it had a long run in Columbus, but crazy. And you're right, he would have been pretty young in 79-80 putting that together too.
We talked about early on too that the one-off races like the Jag World Championships, they were always at Christmas time. The Christmas Classics, there was so many neat races. A lot. Some of them we did in Florida. There was the Hollywood Sportatorium, which is a big concert place, and they also had a drag strip. And one year they had I think Evel Knievel came and jumped a couple buses, but we had a Sunday morning after a big concert, we had an indoor race inside the Sportatorium. And normally when you run on concrete, you'd spray your tires, you'd put street tires on and spray it with like hairspray so you get traction. Well, there was so much dried beer on the ground, you could hardly walk because your feet stuck to the ground.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't need anything for traction, but the smell of that place was awful. But what a just really, we didn't realize at the time how cool those events were.
So we're talking, when you guys had found the sport up until about the 80s, right? That's the window we're in for you guys jumping in right now. We'd started, Bonnie started at 6, and John started at 12.
Yeah.
The whole family was in it. In that time frame when you guys had got started up until the 80s, what was one of the big memories you have in that window of time? And we can start with Bonnie.
Let's see. There's a couple.
Go ahead.
The SE team come into Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, my mom could probably tell more on this one than I could, but when we knew the teams were and everybody was coming in for a race, all the neighborhood people and different around us would want the BMXers to stay with them. So my mom would like sub out almost, like
adopt
the riders.
You could adopt a rider for the weekend.
adopt a racer, So the SC team always stayed with us, and I don't know. I always made my kids give up their bed whenever we had adults coming to the house, but for some reason, and there's a picture in there that Scott laid on the floor and stayed in my room, where when I slept in the bed and Perry's on the couch, and it was like, and we had a pool, and so and a lake, So like we were always jumping our bikes in the pool, or, you know, I was too young, but John was always jumping in the lake with his bike, or we'd have big parties and Mom would have 6-foot subs, you know, for everybody. And it was just like the streets would be lined up, and that's where a lot of the local kids, I mean, we had every neighbor, it seemed like, race BMX or wanted to race BMX. You know, if their parents couldn't afford it, they would just come in, hang out at our house with everybody coming into town. And I still do that, you know, like I still, when I go to a race somewhere, I want to stay with somebody I know. I don't want to stay in a hotel. So I guess that's like been instilled in me, you know, from being a kid, and just enjoying staying with other people, and how much joy we got out of other people staying with us.
That's cool.
How about you, John?
I'm trying to think that it's funny looking back on it now, because you know, a lot of there's so many great. Stu Thompson's probably one of my favorite. There's so many great people that I've met over the years. Stu, Perry, Eddie King. I mean, the list just goes on, right? And I didn't see Eddie as much because he was more West Coast, so he didn't get to Florida a lot. But I saw, you know, Stu, Perry, and all those guys. They weren't
Charlie Williams.
They were more like older brothers. They weren't really like, I didn't idolize them at the time as some kids did, because it was like, oh my God, the pros are here. I was so used to being with them that they were just part of the group, you know. And Scott made it so much fun. There was always just something crazy going on, you know. You saw the one picture with Scott created an article called Chewing the Beef with Stu, and so he brought this big cow's leg to have Stu make this mean picture with the Chewing the Beef with Stu, and we're joking around. He's joking around like he's beating me with it, you know. And there was just always something going on, and the people we've met, it's amazing to this day. You know, I was a little kid at the time, 12, 13, 14. I'd forgotten some of the memories, and I was at Frogtown, and Donnie Atherton was there, and he's like, dude, it was so fun hanging with you guys and staying at your house, and the memories that so many of us created from back then, you know.
And this marks like 50 years that we first got introduced to BMX.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of iconic. John, when I picked him up at the airport, he's like, you know, it's been 50 years. I was like, oh, makes me feel old.
I'm just happy I can still throw a leg over a bicycle and pedal and have fun.
When the SD team came to visit us in Florida, it was like having celebrities in town.
Aw.
Yeah.
I remember one picture of PK in Bonnie's classroom.
That was the one I tried to add today, but I missed the cutoff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Stu went to her classroom when she was in
No, it was
elementary.
Perry. Right, Perry went to my
Sorry.
class.
Perry went to Bonnie's classroom when she was in elementary school, and he's talking to the kids about probably safety.
Yeah, safety and your bike apparel. And
So the kids were very impressed.
And of course, I'm hiding in the corner because I didn't really tell anybody I raced BMX, you know, because here I am, a girl in a boy sport. So, you know, I would get picked on for being, you know, a tomboy. Whereas nowadays, you know, you kind of grasp that and, hey, I'm a tomboy, I don't care, you know. So
it's funny when you see the picture, because he's in full uniform. He's got his jersey, race pants, and everything but his helmet. And he's sitting on his bike talking to the class in the middle of the classroom, you know.
Well,
I'm way back in the back.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sitting way back by the chalkboard.
Oh, there it is.
so, I mean, clearly they knew something before Victoria's Secret knew.
Ooh.
Advertisement across the ass sells.
There's a big debate on this, because
I don't know which one came first, but
it's because cheerleaders do it, right? Don't they put their name on the back like that?
girls' sports in general.
Do that? Okay, so
but I
I always had Bonnie on my butt.
mostly
So.
you see it like Victoria's Secret kind of started.
Oh,
with
the
their
brand.
Well, I
Nah,
love
BMX
across
was
the
way
bu-
before.
Well, I'm kind of who's the horse and who's the cart? But yeah, I see the picture. I just see Ripper across his ass. That's kind of
And
cool.
back then too, like it was, they changed the Scott Enterprises and BMX Innovations, and then they went to a Factory Boys. And I don't know if I had like raised a stink about it or something, because I was the only girl until Kim Johnson came on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get sometime in that era, they gave us a factory girls shirt.
Nice.
Yep. So when I started my team back and I did the Hutelin race and I did factory girls, you know, and then I did the boys, the factory boys.
I like it.
Yeah, we still got one of those
Bonnie
jerseys.
didn't like the idea of wearing a factory boys jersey.
I mean, I'm sure she had to spend some time getting her own identity out there.
Yeah, I think this one's.
Okay, well, I don't know if you can see it on there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Factory
okay.
girl.
Hang on, let me go full screen. There you go. Okay.
09. Yeah, very cool.
We're not sure. I wish I had dated stuff. We had no idea what would have been then, but this one has the 09 on it. So we think, and the Japan
Yes.
logo on it. So was it not
This would
83
have
you
been
went to Japan?
80s. No, 86.
86. She made a trip with my mom and dad to Japan promoting over there.
What
So that that was that era.
That's crazy. Like the
At 16.
yeah, but the traveling
That's cool.
then to now, like no phone, but there have been pay phones at the airport, right, Sarah? That would have been the way you probably would have made it to like let people know.
Earlier, there was no GPS. There were no cell phones. And John will have to tell you about the maps that they got. Of course, the telephone home was a probably collect call.
Well, did
Yeah.
you say like Seth Busari's mom worked for AT&T?
Yeah.
So Seth Busari and John went, you know, on that 79 tour, and so his mom worked for AT&T, so she got him some calling cards.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember the calling cards would have been the
Oh
way
my
you
God,
communicated.
I
You didn't
forgot.
have to have a country code
Yeah.
and then call that way.
Seth's grandmother, I believe, she belonged to AAA. So when we laid out the tour, we gave her all the cities. And so she went to AAA. And remember back then, you got the maps.
I sure
And
do.
it was like state by state, and they were all highlighted. So I was the navigator. So I'd read the map, and Seth would drive, you know. But we didn't plug it into GPS, that's for sure.
Nope.
Dude.
No. God, we were smarter people back then.
Hey, I remember the first few
John
Christmas.
was 14. John was 14 when they were, you know, going
Yeah,
across
well,
country.
I can't imagine the 14-year-olds of today doing that.
Well, I thought it was a struggle bus when you what was the map thing, maps.com
MapQuest.
or MapQuest, like, and you're like, this is terrible. You're like, dude,
Turn
you got
left.
an
Oh, shit,
atlas.
I
If
missed
you
that.
know how to read an atlas, like you can do that. Or you got maps.com.
We were talking about, Florida. We had a lot of great pros down there, and you had Greg Esser and Brian Esser, the two brothers, right?
Mhm.
So they would leave for a weekend to go to Atlanta for a race. So you mentioned Jimmy Graham had a shout out and said hello earlier. Jimmy was probably like, I don't know, 13 at the time, and he lived near him and was friends with him. And so like he'd get his bike and ride over to the house, load up in the car. And, you know, Greg was only like 16 at the time. He was just old enough to drive, and they'd take off for the weekend and go to Atlanta and race, you know. And imagine now turning your kids loose with a 16-year-old to drive to Atlanta for racing for the weekend. And of course,
No.
those kids, they just had enough money for gas. They stayed with the friends and raced for the weekend and found their way home by Monday to go to school.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, hey,
Share the bike.
Mhm.
BMX is still that way a little bit because, you know, everyone helps each other travel even now. And, you know, if you step back from the outside and you're like, man, I'm even with all the technology the kids have today, but like, you know, I'm shipping my kid off with this person for the weekend for a national. Like, you're doing what? But like travel sports parents know, like that's how you make it happen.
Yeah, I think you got Lenny Baticki in that one of those pictures.
Yeah.
This picture too. He was also another South Florida rider that traveled, you know, with us or with them. And he's now like
Sports announcer.
yeah, he
Auto
just got
racing.
in the I think he just got in the Hall of Fame for sports announcer in Charlotte.
Like the power sports Hall of Fame.
For a car race. So it's interesting with Lenny. He became he started announcing at a lot of the races. There's a couple races I think him and Scott were on ESPN announcing, and then his career took off, and he's ran a couple tracks
Okay.
and announced, and he's still in Charlotte announcing a lot of the motorsports activities that go on there.
It's like dirt track.
Okay.
Track legend cars, whatever's going on.
You got Rick talking about your when they visited the house, you guys had a quarter pipe in the driveway, and he mentioned Stu Thompson was on the ramp getting air above the roof of your house.
It was always that. So it's 82. It was I graduated high school, and I wanted to take a little break before I started college. So I was trying to figure out what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad had connections with Tadashi in Japan. So that was when the movie E.T. came out.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided that there was I'm trying to remember the name. Starts with a K. I can't remember the name of this chain, but it was like Sears department stores, right? And they were all over. Nagasaki, I think was the name of it. They were all over Japan. So they wanted 2 riders to come over and stay for 3 months and travel the entire country of Japan and go to every one of their stores and do a demo or show with bicycles to promote the movie, the E.T. and the bike brand and stuff. It was crazy because we rode our own bikes. So I was selected to go, and Eddie Fiola was. So I flew out to California, went to Knott's Berry, raced out there. Then we packed up after the race was over, and we flew to Japan and spent 2 months, November and December, over there traveling. And
Wow.
it was funny because I talked to Eddie. Well, Eddie wrote his biography book, and he misspells my name. I gave him crap for that, but but I never realized Eddie was such an amazing pro traveling around the country doing shows and riding. I just thought he traveled all the time, right? I didn't realize till we got over there that he had never traveled more than a couple days from home. Like, this was a huge deal for him. Like, he didn't know how to do laundry. So we figured things out as we went along, and I don't remember the stories, but he tells me, yeah, you helped me do all my homework. You helped me keep up with school while we were gone. And I forgot he was still, I'd graduated, but he's a little bit younger. He was still in school.
Wow.
Frogtown, right?
Yeah.
You see him at Frogtown.
But we, the money that, I forget, we didn't get paid a whole lot, but we
Sure.
made money on that trip. And the money that I made on that trip, I used to pay for my first semester of college.
Very smart. Wow.
You just packed up and went to Japan?
Yeah. 2 months, he said.
Jesus Christ, that's wild, man. But you were toted from the E.T. movie, right? That was the big thing.
Tadashi ran the was it the JBL, the Japanese
JBA.
Japanese Bicycle Association. So he traveled to the States a lot with my visiting with my parents and attending races. And so we were very familiar with them.
So that's the 80s era that we still have.
Right.
The great story. So
Moto 2.
picture Tadashi comes over and stays for like 2 weeks with us and travels to a bunch of races, and his English isn't very good. So usually when they would sit to eat dinner, my dad would help him order dinner, and when food would come, he would always sniff it first. So dinner came, and there's this big jalapeno pepper on it, and so he grabs the jalapeno pepper, and my dad thinks he's just going to sniff it. He pops it in his mouth and eats it.
Oh,
no. Profusely starts sweating. His eyes are watering. He's taking his napkin and he's drinking water. And so my dad goes, Tadashi, are you all right? And he goes, yeah, stomach very surprised.
Stomach very surprised. That's cute.
Did we have anything we missed in the chat at all? Any questions or anything? Okay,
Nope.
good. I wanted to make sure
Chris
we got.
has been helping out, getting
Perfect.
that stuff in there.
All right, I wanted to make sure we got everybody.
Other little cute things.
Let me go 1 second. Here we go. Oops. Hang on. There we go. Here we go.
I guess I'll double check.
South.
Like that.
What's it say?
South Florida Cartway.
Cartway.
What?
That was one of the big tracks that was early track in South Florida.
And it's written on the bottom, so it's John's trophy, so I'll let him read it to you.
The funny part is we were pulling out stuff looking for things, so I found this. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I flip it over, and it's dated 2/11/77, and it says crash and burn. So I guess must have had a great crash. I've noticed the trophy wasn't very big, but I must have had a good night, good air show, I guess.
That was your consolation trophy.
So this was stuff that Scott worked on. This was, I don't know how, these couldn't have been very expensive to make, but he would pass them out all the races and riders would sign them. So you probably can't see, but there's Perry Kramer. It looks like Jeff Utterback. There's Stu Thompson. I'm probably missing a few, but
I remember drink koozies from the past being styrofoam like that.
Those are rad.
Because we may have even sold them. I don't know if we sold them or gave them away, but 50 cents or $1, and kids would get their autographs, and hell, we still got a couple of these sitting around.
Yeah, that's a really great vehicle to get signed.
Good stuff too. I've donated to the USA BMX Hall of Fame.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know if Gork's holding it, waiting for me to get into the Hall of Fame. So,
well, nothing wrong with that.
Shout out to all the listeners when the votes come out. Please vote for Bonnie.
Yeah,
that's right.
I've been you have to be in the top 2 or top 3 every year to be resubmitted again. Or automatically submitted for the next year, and so it's been several years that I don't get that first place. I keep getting second and third finish.
We were offered to do one of our shows from there, so we'll hold out till you get elected in the Hall of Fame.
There you go.
Then we'll pack the studio up for that occasion.
I like it.
I don't know if that'll persuade any votes. Maybe one. My vote.
The vote.
Hey,
that's on my bucket list. I want to go out there. That's I can't wait to see that facility. I've seen pictures, and some of the things that they have on display is just amazing.
Yeah, you're not alone. It's on one of our to-dos as well.
I've been out there. When we go to the Grands, I go out there, and we always do Thanksgiving because they have a Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh yeah.
So they have dinner there, and so my daughter and I always do the Thanksgiving dinner at the headquarters.
So I realize there's a big 6-year age gap between the two of you, but same team. Was there a lot of sibling rivalry between the two of you growing up and doing the same sport? And
really?
So wait, you have to remember that we're six.
You don't see me pushing him on the couch.
Right. She's like, I mean, some more screen time.
There's an armrest. I'd be in the floor, but. So picture when she's like 7 or 8. Let's see, 8. I would be like 14. So
I'm just a little brat.
Not too many 14-year-olds want their little sister.
That's true.
The one night we're at South Florida Cartway, and she's playing follow the leader. So wherever I go, she goes. So I'm like, okay, I had enough of this. So there was probably
my shenanigans, not his.
There was a that went across the one of the areas to block off one from the other.
Okay.
So I'm like, this is easy. I just duck under it. Well, of course, she didn't see it, and it caught her like right in the
clothesline.
Like she's laying on the ground floundering, And my dad happened to see that. It didn't end well. He was not very impressed.
You learned your lesson to turn around and look for her now, huh?
I don't remember as much. Bonnie always talks about, I guess I was the guy that always did the bike, so I got aggravated that I always had to fix her bike. So I would be in the garage. I would make her come sit in the chair and watch and try to teach her, but she didn't pick up on the mechanical part.
I didn't want to I still don't want to work on my bike. I'm still I have my bike here when he gets here, and okay, can you fix my bike? I'm going to Grands next week. Can you fix my bike?
It needs a tune-up. Tune up.
Tune up.
Oh, well,
and then
that's cute.
You need new chains, and you need this, and you need that. I'm like,
Well, it's good to have somebody that can laundry list it out for you, though.
But he would still do that with my cars. Like even when I got old enough for him to work on was driving a car, I would have to sit there while he works on my car.
I'm changing the oil, right?
But now he doesn't do that. Like he doesn't do that to his kids. He doesn't do that to me anymore. So
now
I can just hike off and be like, see ya.
Now I like my peace and quiet.
I was going to say you've learned the art of peace and quiet.
It's more fun to listen to the radio while you're working on the bike.
That's right. It's probably a little more faster if you just do it yourself.
We never had to race each other.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, with our age bracket and stuff, we were never having to compete against each other. But I was probably just always following the boys around, so.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
It's still very competitive this day, though, because we both happen to get on the gate at practice at the same time. That we don't stop till the finish line.
Oh, okay.
That's fun.
All right, push
each
other.
We got to lock somebody out of the car, or just there's always some kind of shenanigans if we're going somewhere.
Where we went. We met somewhere one time, and for some reason I booked the hotel rooms. So I got the keys to the room, So I went with my kids, and I'm like, come on, guys, grab all the toilet paper you can find. And we had toilet paper stringing everywhere around that room.
Oh,
My room.
Her room.
It's in my room.
And the funny part is when we closed the door, we left just a little, like one sheet hanging out. And when they got there and they went to open the door, there's like, so we put the key back at the front desk and we forgot about it. And then a little while later they show up and we're like, oh, let's watch them go to their room. And when the kids open, they're like, why is toilet paper hanging out? When they opened up and walked in and saw toilet paper like the entire room, they're like freaking out.
oh,
See?
that's a prank that's going to be carried on forward now.
See, it's a BMX thing.
What is?
Like the practical jokes. Like when I tell the people I'm checking in that Damon's my twin brother.
Yeah,
See?
that makes sense.
Yeah. Those that watch the show know.
Yeah, I was like,
It's
you
kinda
have
like-
to know Damon to know that
No,
joke.
it's sort of like Mike Miranda's twin brother, Tommy
Yes,
Brackens.
that's okay. Yep,
Yeah,
that is
Damon's
similar
my
to
Tommy
that.
Brackens.
That is true.
Got a quick question for you, and then we're going to jump into the trivia segment here, and we'll talk about who's going to be on next week. But what do you guys do for your day jobs?
So I own a small engine repair shop.
Oh,
I do not work on my bicycles, but I will fix lawnmowers and golf carts.
Go figure that one out.
I mean, she figured out what pays.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm a Husqvarna dealer, so we do lawnmowers, and we've, worked on 4-wheelers, dirt bikes, golf carts. So whatever I can find a mechanic to work on it, but it's been hard. Yeah,
How long has your shop been there? 20 years
I've been
now?
there 20 years.
Wow.
It's just a little small engine repair shop. So, and then when we moved here from Florida, I moved with my parents. So our grandparents had just passed away, so I moved in that house on the farm on 50 acres. So, my grandparents used to raise cows. They always lived off the land. They never worked, like for somebody. So I'm on that 50 acres where they had cows, and they used to raise vegetables and everything. So now it's kind of funny because we've always had animals, and now my daughter is getting into the agriculture side. So it's coming like full circle back with all that.
That's cool. I like to hear that.
John, what do you do?
It's funny my dad was in the automobile business, so I always thought I would work in the automobile business and a car mechanic or something. And after high school, he introduced me to an A&P school, so I got my aircraft and power plant license, and I went to work for Eastern Airlines. And of course, we all know if you're old enough, you remember where Eastern went. That's no longer with us. So after that, I started flying, and I became a flight engineer, and I worked my way up to captain. I'm currently flying 747 pretty much anywhere in the world.
No shit.
Wow. Do you like fly for a what am I trying to say?
Commercial airline?
Yeah, like Delta or something like that, or one of them?
It's called Atlas Air. It's a cargo company, so we fly about 80% cargo. Go to 6 continents. I forget how many, 125 countries and like 350 cities. But it's we also do a little bit of high-end charter. We actually have a couple special VIP birds. We fly the Miami. There's 5 football teams: the Dolphins, the Jets, Jacksonville Jaguars. There's 1 or 2 I'm missing. I can't think of the name. I think they just signed the Seattle. But so we fly the Formula. The trips I like, we do the Formula One cars. It's amazing.
Wow.
To move Formula One from one city to another. It's like it's either 8 or 10 airplanes, and it's
What?
the organization of all that to move. The cars all get broken down and put into containers, and then the containers get loaded on the airplane. It marvels me to move that many people, that much equipment. They're actually trying to put I forget the car that Aston Martin. I think they just signed something with Aston Martin, and they're going to start flying the team around, the crew members and stuff. So,
Did you just say 8 airplanes to fly around an F1 team?
Not one team, all the teams.
all of them.
The
Oh,
circuit.
all of them.
When
Yeah.
they leave, like the car, it's not like NASCAR. NASCAR, after the weekend's over, the cars go back to the shop and they rebuild for the next week or bring another one.
Sure.
Formula One, the cars they start with run the whole year, and if they crash them, they actually tear them down and rebuild them on the spot. And so when when the race is over, everything gets packed in containers. Each team gets like 2 containers, and then it all goes on airplanes and it gets shipped to the next city. And then, there's usually like 2 weeks in between. Gives us travel time to get there. They set up and boom, they start all over again.
Jesus, F1, that could be a sideshow how big that is. But before we get in any farther into that, we're going to do our trivia now. We say, guys, don't give the answer away, but you're going to give the answer. So we're going to toss it over here and do our trivia segment, brought to you by our good friends at Die Job Apparel. We bring the trivia segment each and every week. We couldn't do it without them. Giffy, got to know this, man. Can we get those? We got to get those foam koozies back. How cool would that be?
Well, they're impractical for traveling. That's the only downside.
We can just call them studio koozies.
But yeah, because obviously the difference between flattening this, versus the inability. But Harley-Davidson, Motor City Harley-Davidson definitely knows how to do it up with these nice foam beverage koozies. I got your Harley-Davidson sunglasses and the sticker pack that just keeps growing with all the sponsors that we have and all the new ATB stuff that's in here. We need more Danger Snacks. Brian, if you're listening. You explain this. I don't remember what that is. Please.
The guys from down south, they're the Florida. They're part of the Florida Gatenine team. They got some. It's a die cut sticker. It's going to be tough because it's white on white.
Oh, it is white on white.
But it's he's doing a turn down, so it's pretty cool. It's just the die cut itself. Super cool. They were doing a fundraiser, so we jumped on it, bought a few of them so we could put them in the prize packs.
And we got a Wrenchman. What's this fabric called? Jesus,
microfiber.
My brain just froze. Microfiber Wrenchman towel there. I got a Krupp and Carter T-shirt going out to the winner here. The BMX something. And then it's all coming in your Motor City Harley-Davidson little backpack. So, okay, earlier in the show, Sarah was showing us the adorable T-shirt that she is wearing, and she named the SE mascot. I would like to know, don't answer. I would like to know what is the name of that character on Sarah's T-shirt.
And we're going to reset the chat, so now it starts over. All right, so looking for the answer for that, Melissa. We're gonna.
Oh yes, I got another. Okay.
See,
another job here. This is multitasking.
Yeah.
All right, next week's show that would be February 19th, with Valentine's Day on Friday for anybody who hasn't been paying attention. February 19th, next Wednesday, we are going to meet up with Brian Moore. He is now. The script says something different than you have posted, so I'm not sure what his last name is. Is it Moore or is it Moran?
Oh, I'm sure I copied it. I probably typed it wrong.
Okay, well, no, I don't know.
But
Brian who is the owner of Gearblocks.
Oh, my God. And Gearblocks is your cool
I don't know what they are.
It's so we had to tune in and find out.
For sure.
But
a way to hang your bikes and stuff, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'll get it pulled up here. And we've got some samples we're going to have in the studio to show. I'm getting ready to hang it up. So it's a slidable vertical, able to store your bikes. No, it's right on there. Wrong in the script. Okay. Thank goodness.
So Moran.
Yep.
I'm going to get
a picture up here real quick for you guys. So here, and I got to do this real quick. So these are storage, and they're hooks that slide on Unistrut, and he's got all kinds of other stuff and accessories that come for them. And pretty excited to learn more about this. So if you guys have small storage area for your bikes, this is a great way to fit them in and easy sliding them back and forth. So you can access them and get them out. So like I'm putting ours up there at the back of the trailer. So that way they can slide back and forth over the toolbox and over the freezer. How are we doing on the got any
I'm
good
pretty
answers?
sure I had actually a couple of people got it right. All right, Sarah, what's the name of the character?
The character on your shirt.
On your shirt. What do we call that guy?
You tell them now.
Yep. Tell him.
Charlie Gnarly.
Charlie Gnarly. So
Yeah. Hold it right.
Can you-
All right, so for the bonus prize, how many fingers does he have?
That I remember.
Also a good question. So
I figured you were gonna ask.
that is a very good question, actually. I didn't write that detail down. It looks like Douglas Swenson is the one that came the closest with the correct Charlie Gnarly. A couple people got Gnarly Charlie or Charlie Marley. Good job, Cardoza. I like it. So, Doug, if you could sentence, and then, yeah, they're getting the six fingers backup plan there. Doug Swenson, if you could message the show your home address or where you would like us to ship the package, we'll get it out to you.
If it's a Doug I'm thinking about, he lives in Colorado, and shout out to Doug. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's cool. I like how Mark Scott put 12 because technically it's 12.
There you go.
Gnarly Brady, Dave.
It's not Tom Brady.
All right. Well, thanks for playing along, guys. I appreciate that. I'm going to write Doug's name down here.
Guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening and talking to us about the 70s racing with the Hutelins this evening and bringing everyone in to talk. We're looking forward to talking the 80s and more soon. So we'll be booking another show and talking more about your guys' racing. So you guys stay tuned. We'll get that show booked. But at this time, I'd like to throw the screen over to you guys for your shout outs and thanks before we get out of here. So at this time, I'll turn it over to you guys.
John's gonna do the first shout out.
So they God, I don't even know where to begin, but unfortunately my dad can't be with us, but I know he's up in heaven looking down on us, and a lot of great stuff has come from the support that he's taught us over the years. And shout out to my sister for the when he passed, in lieu of flowers, we started this thing where we asked people to donate money, and she went to Fly Racing and works at special with them that she buys bulk gloves that are left over, and then she puts packages together, and at some of the tracks she gives them to the track operators to give to the kids that can't afford gloves and protection gear.
What a great idea.
Helmets and full gear for people. I helped there was a kid in Jacksonville that him and his sister were sharing a bike, so the bunch of people got together and bought a second bike for the family because they couldn't afford it, and I paid the money for like 6 months of entry fees. So we've done a lot of really cool things over the years, and it comes from mom and dad and some good upbringing. So and then there's too many friends to list, but the one that I thought was good is Eddie King sent me a hat and said if I wore it he'd give me $100. So I guess I can.
That's awesome. Oh, that's great.
That is too funny.
Yeah. Hope he's wearing it. What? I get 50 of that, right?
There you go. Yeah, I feel like that should be a split for sure. That's cute.
Definitely, with my parents' support, we couldn't have done this as long as we have, and definitely with meeting all the friends and over the years and still keeping those same friends. And overseas, I have people too that even different races that I went to, they would send me, I didn't even meet them, but they'd be from Taiwan and I was in Japan, and they would send me Christmas letters, birthday cards, just, it's amazing that the support that we get for this. So, the shirts that we have, like John had kind of mentioned, with on the background, and that's what started. We started selling these shirts and trying to help other kids and stay in BMX and get them off the streets.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thank y'all for having us. So it was a lot of fun. So I hope I didn't overwhelm you with too many photos, because the 80s we traveled a lot more.
That's all right.
I didn't get a chance to say it, but just throw it in there real quick. Thank you, both of you, for having us on the show. It was neat just putting the dates and thinking about this together, because it brought back so many memories of things we had no idea. If we only knew as kids what this would have led to, I would have never believed 50 years later we'd be sitting around talking to people on social media, and strangers and friends all alike, that just talking about the sport and where it went and where it's going, and answering Bill Prince's questions.
He just said another one too.
That's definitely part of the cool thing that we get to be excited about being a part of too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in SC, like we SC picked us up at such a young age, and we live and breathe and only ride SC, you know, and even after being off for 27 years, like I've only rode 2 bicycles, and this is my 22nd year in BMX.
Wow.
And so,
I guess you got to add Todd Lyons to that. It's very unfortunate that the Demons got a hold of Scott and he's not with us anymore, but the creative innovativeness that he had early on, who knows where BMX would be today without guys like him, right? And somebody like Todd Lyons to take SE, and to think that the bikes that we had as kids are still available and still selling like hotcakes, and hell, the Damians put together a bus that looks very similar to the original SE school bus, and he's planning a trip across the states with it, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Wow. Frogtown, but the bus didn't make it to Frogtown.
That's how the best stories start.
Uh-huh.
Well, we want to
That's
echo.
if anybody asks, we never got to ride the SE bus. Yeah.
Okay.
California, and us, especially us being so young, my dad was like, no.
No. Yeah. Hey, don't blame Dad. Probably a good move.
Yeah, Dad chose well from what we understand.
Well, we want to say on behalf of everyone here with the All Things BMX Show, thank you guys so much for what you do for the sport and spending time with us this evening. We really, really appreciate it. And we look forward to having you on again here. We'll get that figured out here when we sign off. Wanted to ask one more. Chris, I hope you're feeling better. Let me know how you're doing, buddy. You guys have a great night. It was great everyone tuning in. Lots of people tuning in. Lots of great stories shared this evening. And look forward to seeing everybody next week.
You want to say anything, Mom?
Well, when the kids came home and said they wanted to race BMX, Don and I never knew the people that we would meet, the memories that we would have of all the Californians and all the other kids that would come to Florida because they wanted to race together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's unbelievable of all the friends and memories that we have, and that even today we can still connect on Facebook. That has been the amazing part, that we can still connect with those people that we knew back in the 70s.
That's awesome.
So it's been a really good experience.
Well, thank you for sharing your evening with us. We appreciate it.
And on that, we're going to slide out of here. You guys have a great night. We'll see you next week.